Get a sexy bod. How to tone up twice as fast. Look hotter in your jeans. We all know there's immense pressure on women from the media to look beautiful, be sexually empowered, and to dress a certain way, all of which contribute to women's sexualization. But what isn't explicitly said is that there are certain structures in place that allow the media to keep getting away with this, such as the shift to individualization. Neoliberalism, as explained by David Harvey, is a set of structures that help to promote individualization of actions as to best suit the political economy, by making it the responsibility of people to maintain themselves through market exchanges. These structures increase individualization on every level, such as in individualizing the blame of problematic societal structures like the sexualization of women. Neoliberalism helps to depict individuals as perpetuating this and requires them to work to change it, thus ignoring how this issue needs to be improved on a more structural level to make any significant impact. Bragg and Buckingham discuss this individualizing trend in terms of parents being prioritized as responsible for the complete education of their children on the subject of female sexualization. This is an example of how a structural problem of perpetuating the sexualization of women has been depicted as a problem that each individual parent needs to solve through the individualization of responsibility. Bragg and Buckingham also discuss how the blame for the consequences of sexualization of women has been pushed onto the individual women as well. A quote from their focus study research on page 694 reads, "There was a general agreement that some forms of female attire invited particular male attention or behavior. Few want to name this as sexual assault, although some of the young people who participated in our school focus group stated outright that certain girls were asking for it." As well, on page 160 of Fraser's article about sexual assault and the California law, she discusses this, writing, "The process of proving a sexual harassment claim exemplifies how hard women who experience sexualized aggression must work to overcome the general presumption that women are receptive to this type of conduct. Under Title VII, to prove a hostile work environment claim of sexual harassment, a plaintiff must not only show that the harassment was 1, because of sex, and 2, sufficiently severe or pervasive to create a working environment that was both objectively and subjectively abusive, but she must also show that the harassing conduct was unwelcome. These findings demonstrate how the blame has been transferred onto women and girls as if they are asking for these types of behavior, because of the clothing that they wear, even though they are being told to wear these types of clothes on a daily basis through the media. Sexualized clothing being assumed as an invitation for sexual assault is problematic for a number of reasons, including how media influences make women somewhat required to dress this way. Gill explores this in her quote about how sexual empowerment has become a requirement of young women. She also explains on page 737 of her article how it is used in a demeaning way. Her statement points out where the power structure lies within sexual empowerment. Who is benefiting from women wearing skimpy clothing and priding themselves on taking advantage of their sexuality, really? With pressure for women and girls to wear sexual clothing, be empowered by it, and be blamed when it results in negative consequences, the individual education of girls by their mothers becomes extremely confusing and nonsensical. Thus, Gill discusses how media literacy has been promoted as a panacea for the sexualization of women and girls, and how this is not an effective solution. She specifically references an interview she had with a 12-year-old girl who reported being extremely analytical of the media's propaganda, understanding that depictions of women in the media are highly unrealistic and photoshopped. But with that said, the girl felt the media was unavoidable and that exposure to it still left her with feelings of self-hatred, and that she and peers who she worried were on the brink of serious eating disorders. This leads to the important point that parents as the sole educators are not effective in solving the problem of diminishing the sexualization of their children. Celia Roberts discusses how parents as sole educators on this topic are extremely ineffective and don't improve the problem when we consider how many different institutions children are educated in. The largest influence on these children's sexualization, I would argue, is the media in its various forms that people interact with on a daily basis, and they are the party most responsible for promoting these sexist structures and keeping them in place. The media is representing girls and women in ways that perpetuate their sexualization, objectification, promote rape culture, and enforce sexual empowerment that is not realistically empowering, and will continue to do so as long as these problems are structured in a way that suggests that each person individually has to fight against them rather than fight to change the media's structure and portrayals of women. The power of restructuring these representations lies with the media, not the individual, which is where the blame should be placed and who we should pressure to change these problems. Otherwise, the media will continue with its objectification and sexualization of women.